What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. This episode is episode 209 with some great friends of Christy and I, some recent mastermind grads, Kai and Sian, all the way from Tasmania, Australia. And they are the founders of Kins Creative, and they've had a beautiful story of growth over the last half of this year. They just started their businesses here in 2024 and started to really go after it kind of in the last half of this year. And their last 2 months, they have made in the last 2 months $23,000 as agency owners doing photo and video content for brands down in Australia. And this episode is going to break down a lot of the things that they are learning as they are really starting to hit the growth curve in their own business. And so I cannot wait for you to hear everything we're going to talk about in this episode, the ins and outs of things that have worked, the ins and outs of their story of committing full time to their business as a partner team. They've got a family, some of the risks in that, the ways that they fully committed to that, relocating their business or going all in and actually moving across the country. There's a lot of stuff in this episode that I hope you find really helpful and incredibly encouraging and inspiring. So here is our episode with Kai and Sian. Kai and Sian, welcome to the Creative Rise podcast. How you guys doing? Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. Yeah,
Thanks for having us. Yeah, really good.
yeah.
Absolutely. You guys are so fun. We're going to jump right into rapid fire, and then we're going to ask about like your guys' family and your story. It's going to be awesome. But
Amazing.
first, introduce each other. So name and where you guys are from.
Yeah, I'm Sian, and this is Kai,
Kai.
and we're from Tasmania in Australia.
Yeah.
And
Recently from
Yes,
Tasmania.
amazing.
Yeah.
And we are Kins
Yeah.
Creative. Yeah.
Let's go. And then how long have you guys been in creative business together? And then how long have you been independently doing creative things?
That's a bit of a tough one. I think like we've always been together, like we've always done it together, but
Yeah.
it's only been sort of officially,
Cool.
running a quote unquote creative agency for basically since the mastermind, right? So one of the reasons why we came into it was to sort of figure out all of those logistics and whatnot. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I suppose a couple months technically.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We did
Oh,
start
awesome.
it at the start of the year though. Yeah, like we tried to start it.
Yes, there you go. You guys came into it together, doing it together at the start of the year, but really have gone full force in the last couple months, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
awesome.
Amazing. Well, we love
Mhm.
that. We love what you guys are building. You guys have built an awesome business, and it's continuing to just get better and better and better. And we love teams, which is why we're so excited to chat
Yeah.
about some team dynamics and working as a team today.
We love to.
Yeah, we are a little bit
Mhm.
biased, but you guys are so cool. So let's humanize you guys for a second. Do you guys have any flops, real quick, before we get into the actual like episode and show? Do you have any flops from anything individually or as a team running your business?
Yeah.
Or even just
So, I mean,
creatively?
Yeah, so fortunately, we haven't really had any major flops or anything that's like noteworthy.
Not yet.
Not yet. Touch some wood.
Sean's like,
Um,
not yet. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I know, you're just anticipating it. But yeah, so I got a really funny one. Like when I was, it was almost 10 years ago now, but I was toying with the idea of like running a creative business for a while. And back then, I thought, all right, I'm going to be a film photographer. I'm going to invest at the time, almost all my savings. So $800 in this camera that I researched and then this epic lens that I really wanted. Finally bought it, got it delivered in the morning. It rocked up at like 9 a.m. and then needed to go out to the shops in the afternoon. So drove down to the shops. It was about 15 minutes away. Took a right turn of the lights and then I just heard this bang. And I was like, oh no. Looked down, couldn't see my camera. And then see it in the middle of like this intersection, drive into the shops and park.
Oh,
Drive into the shops and park just in time to see this massive semi-truck just absolutely clean it up, like right in front of me.
that is a movie. That's actually like a movie scene of your life. That is awful.
What camera was it? I'm super
Did you
intrigued.
Oh
remember?
man, I actually can't even remember. It was like, I just blocked it all. I think it was
Yeah.
some sort of
The traumatic
Nikon-
experience just
Yeah.
erased everything.
Yeah, it was like some Nikon film. I honestly can't remember at this time. Yeah, but it was it
Oh
was rough.
my
Wow.
gosh. So did you just walk into the shop and like
Yeah,
go
what?
buy another one, or did you walk in the shop and be like, "Hey, can you fix this with all the pieces?"
I didn't have any money to do anything else. Like that was it, you know. Yeah. So
Wow,
that was a flop.
impressive to come back after that though, right? Like you spend all your savings on the one camera and then it gets blown to pieces. And now here you guys are.
And now here we
thriving,
are.
Guys are
running your
Yeah.
own
thriving
business,
in your own business.
not getting run over by semi trucks, and it's
Hopefully,
awesome. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
100%.
Sean, do you have anything, or are you like, no, we'll just leave it with Kai? That's he's the problem child.
I can't think of anything. Like, I don't.
Yeah. She
I'm
said it's
not off my
coming.
head.
She said it's
coming.
coming. When we interview you guys in like a year,
Yeah, we'll have you back on the
Well,
podcast, and I'm sure there'll be something there.
I'm sure some of
All right,
is
so
here.
you guys are a partner team.
Mhm.
You guys have a beautiful family, and you have this beautiful business you're building. There's so much to talk about, but why don't we talk real quick? Let's bring all the listeners into where did we meet? At what time of the year was it? And take us kind of back to the beginnings of Kin's Creative. Like, what made you guys start it? What made you guys get involved with Creative Rise? And kind of like, intro everybody on where you guys are at currently in business, and then we'll get into your story from there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I think in terms of when we met, I think when did I reach out to you guys in like September? So yeah, pretty much since April, I think is when we basically went full time into committing to it. And I was just consuming as much like, free YouTube podcasts as possible. And, I can't remember how I got onto you guys, but I found your podcast and just binged the whole thing and was just learning as much as I could. And, I was getting, so far, but I sort of knew that I needed some accountability or some sort of, I need to be involved with something to kind of, bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
Because we were having
Yeah.
some success and we had a pretty good first month, but then after that, it kind of was like, just bottomed out and was kind of like, oh crap,
Yeah, where
that
do we go
was,
from here kind of thing.
yeah. And we knew that we needed to invest in something like this. And we knew that we were ready and committed enough to warrant that, I suppose. Because, at that time, we weren't really earning much money at all. And it was at the time I was like, well, that's a bit of an investment, but I think at the same time, it's like, I almost thought of it like a business loan, you sort of take money down in terms, and then you're gonna trust yourself to make that back with the help of you guys
Yeah.
and everyone else in the community kind of thing.
And I remember
Mm.
we were in the car driving and Kai was telling me about your podcast, and that's the first time I heard about it. I think we listened to 1 or 2 episodes, and then you were telling me about the course, and I was like, yep, like there's no brainer. We need something. And I was like, it just felt like perfect timing then.
Yeah, we almost pulled the trigger. We almost pulled the trigger on a couple different ones, but it was just kind of like, I just didn't feel it. And then, just you guys talking about how solid the community that you foster is in the mastermind. I was like, this is actually what we need. We don't just need to be told because, I feel like I've got a lot of knowledge. Now
Yeah.
it's just the community and the accountability and just basically just bouncing ideas off people has been like, the best thing.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Totally.
huge. I love that. Well, it's crazy that it's only really been since September. That's only like a couple months because it feels like we've known you guys for much
I
longer
feel
than
like
that.
we've done you guys for so
I
much
feel like I've
longer.
even been watching your business progress for longer than that. So why don't you
like
guys
double
give everybody an update on you guys run Kin's Creative.
Yeah.
Kai, you and Sean shared a really awesome win with us the other day about an update on where your business is at. Why don't you talk to everybody about what that update is, and then we're gonna break down some of the things tactically that you guys have been doing in order to create a win like that.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know if are we talking numbers here as well?
Yeah,
Sure.
go for it.
Yeah.
As much as you want.
Yeah, cool. So in my previous job, I was earning, it was like 51,000 a year on salary. And it just definitely wasn't cutting it for where we lived. It's a really expensive area on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. And we were like, I want to go all in. But the only way we could do this is basically move somewhere that's cheaper. So we did. And then I think, so we got down there in April. June was when we sort of first made our first money with it, or like did our first project. And I was doing the financials for the end of the year. And from June to December, we're going to be $47,500, I think. So just shy of the old
Woo.
salary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you've made basically in 6 months what you made in an
Yeah.
entire year working your old job, which is incredible. And you guys are getting to do things together. choice with your time, with your
Um,
location,
Spending so
which
much
is
more time with
amazing.
family and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like our daughter
Yeah.
Olive is involved in almost every project. Like it's so sweet.
Yeah,
So
so good. I
you
know
guys
you
are
guys
living,
have
like,
the
the
perfect
quintessential like creative family life.
yes.
Got this. How old is your daughter? Just so
So
everyone
almost
we know
3.
about you.
Almost 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost 3 years
So
old.
cute.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys are the cutest little family, and you guys have. First of all, there's so many things to unpack about your guys' story
Mhm.
that I think is really inspiring for people. Not only the financial side is incredible, but also the fact that you guys were like, okay, we want to go in on this business together. Where we're at is too expensive right now. You literally moved so that you could start this business.
It's a lot of
Mhm.
sacrifice.
That's
Yeah.
incredible sacrifice. What was
Mhm.
that like for you guys to make that choice? Because a lot of people maybe are sitting here going, you know, like I want to really give my creative business my all, but like
Mhm.
my job's super comfortable.
Mm.
Where I live
Yeah.
is super comfortable. My house that I live in is super
Yeah.
comfortable. Like
Mhm.
what was that decision like for you
And
guys?
the Sunshine Coast is a comfortable spot.
Yeah.
We've been. We love the Sunshine Coast. Like, how did
Yeah.
you guys, as Christy said, give that up to pursue something you would have seen as to be a greater option for you?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, the Sunshine Coast is not comfortable over the summertime. It is cooking. Like we're here right now on it's so hot. But yeah, sorry, that was just a little bit of
Love that.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, I got lost there.
Yeah, sacrifice.
Yeah,
Talk to
just
us about
what was
sacrifice.
it
How did you
like to
guys
make
make
that
that
decision?
decision?
Yeah. It kind of felt like a no-brainer.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily like a sacrifice as such because we had been thinking about moving for a little while, and it's not so much like we moved to somewhere we really don't want to go be so that we can make it happen. It was kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, to do this, we have to do this, and
Yeah.
luckily enough, we wanted to do something like that anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
Yeah.
obviously a sacrifice in terms of sacrificing, a steady income and a lot of the
Yes.
knowns
Yeah.
to really jump into the unknown and go, we don't know how this is going to work out. We don't know when it's going to work out, but we trust ourselves to make it happen and
Yeah.
really just back ourselves
Mm.
to, yeah,
Mhm.
get it done kind of thing.
And just remind yourself why you made that decision in the first place as well is probably a very big part of it.
Yeah, because it wasn't,
Yeah.
I mean, everything sounds great and rosy when you're talking about it, but it's literally only the last week or two where it's really felt like we can put our head above water, I suppose. It's
Yeah.
we've been basically having no income for the best part of this year, and it's
Mm.
been pretty stressful at times, but
Yeah.
it's just that
Yep.
maintained dedication to making this work because we knew this is actually what we want to do. I don't want to just
Mm.
get halfway into it. I've done this before, get halfway into it and go, this is a bit scary. I better just grab a job quickly. Just really going, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable. And there's going to be times where it's stressful, but in the long run, which, it's not even that long
Yeah.
when you put it in perspective, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the long run, it's going to be so worth it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh my gosh, totally. Well, you guys are, half a year into really doing this, right? And really just a couple months of actually formulating it and having it
Mhm.
actually running at a rate that you're like,
Yeah.
no, this is like awesome. But that's actually such a short amount of time. Like
Very short.
know.
I feel
Yeah.
like most people are like, oh, we've like developed our agency and it's been years and we
I
still
know.
feel like we're just like, oh my gosh, how do we even get a job or how do we even really make this work?
Yeah.
What are some things, because you talked about like, that fear, like the fear of when you've made the decision, but you're in the middle,
Oh.
you're not quite
You're
there.
in the process.
You're in the
Mhm.
process of feeling like you actually do have some head above water. What's your advice to somebody that's maybe in that spot? Like the in between, like feels like they
Mhm.
might be drowning a little bit, trying to figure it out. Should I stay in this? Should I not? What's your advice to somebody to tactically get through that
Yeah.
phase? Now, that phase is going to hit all the time, right? As we
Okay.
grow and develop new offers or you do different aspects of our business. But what's your advice for somebody who's in that middle phase? Like what did you guys do to get through that?
Probably support would be a big thing as well.
Mm.
I feel like
Like having other people that back you around.
yeah, definitely. And like the course, of course.
Yeah, the course of boss.
I love that.
The cars, of course. The mastermind.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, and just finding more creatives as well that have been through it and
Yeah.
they know
Mm.
that that's always going to happen when you're starting something new and just pushing through it.
Mm.
There was definitely a few moments there where, even like was it 4 months ago, where we were like, should we just, not do it anymore, and Kai can learn a trade and go and do all these things
Yeah.
and for
Kai
every
can get out there.
Yeah. But then there was just always
Yeah.
that little voice just saying, no, just wait it out. Something's going to move and change, and it eventually
Yeah.
did.
And you never know, like,
Yeah,
what
keep working hard.
what that's gonna be too, for when that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, in terms
Mhm.
of all it takes is, one job, one retainer, one good month, and it just, like, boosts that confidence. And, you never know, like, if you're been at it for a certain amount of time, there was for me, it was almost like, I've stuck it out for this long. It would be silly to back out when I can kind of feel that it's gonna
Yeah.
happen. But in
Yeah.
terms of people that are in that situation, I think if you, like, truly believe in yourself and you can truly back yourself to do it, and, you're not gonna
Mm.
fully put yourself under, or, like,
Yeah.
if you have, a bit of
Yeah.
backup savings or whatever, that you trust
Yeah.
yourself to be able to make back, I think just commit. Like, there's nothing more to it, You just gotta go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trust
Just
yourself.
send it.
Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
So you guys have talked about community. You've talked about how in the process of fear, getting the support of other people is so important. One of the things that I think, and you can let me know if you agree, that one of the things I think is so cool about what we try and build here at Creative Rise is you get to join a community where you get to kind of lift up the hood on people's cars and see underneath, or on people's businesses, like it's a car, and see underneath, like, what's the engine they're rocking with? Like, what are the offers they're using to grow? What are the things they're selling? How are they selling them? And I would assume that's been a probably pretty important part of the community side of Creative Rise, is you guys getting to kind of borrow strategies from other businesses and implement them into your own, and then watch them grow. So for the sake of you guys being on the podcast, why don't we talk about some of the things that have been working for you?
Yeah.
So
Let's up the
talk
hood.
to us, about with Kin's Creative specifically. What are some of the things that is helping drive revenue for you guys every month? What have you seen to work in terms of offers, and what are the offers you're, I guess I would say, like, the most excited about right now that you'd like to share with some people that might be you guys 6 months ago, really
Yeah.
trying to get the first steps laid in the foundation to really
Yeah.
go for something they've been wanting to do for a while?
Definitely. Okay, you take that one away because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, so I
you do
think
more of that.
there's just so much I could go on for that, for so long there. But I really think I had a massive shift during the mastermind where, I'm no longer a creative trying to convince, a brand that my creative is good and that you should pay me a certain amount because I'm worth that. It's like really trying to, it's instead of, your creative is good, but how can you strategically use that skill to solve a problem for the business, which then in turns,
Yeah.
the value is going to be there. I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but it's like,
Yep.
instead of being like,
You're preaching to the choir. We love that.
yeah, it's like,
That's so
it's
good.
instead of being like, going into a project with money as your first kind of priority, it's like going into the project with value, and then the money will then come. So that kind of shapes everything. It shapes what kind of offers you build. Like right
Yeah.
now, we really pivoted big time into social media heavy and social media useful offers. So instead of just pitching like, oh yeah, we're going to give you, 25 photos or, a certain amount of videos, we're just constantly in a state of pivoting to figure out what's the most useful offer for brands trying to still have really good creative and connecting and authentic creative, but that will work in a setting of social media. And
Love
yeah,
that.
I don't know if you had anything else.
Yeah, well, I like how you're saying, like, social is important, because you're no longer saying, and this might be what you used to do. I know I used to do this when I was earlier on in my career. A lot of creatives do this. Oh yeah, hire me. I'm a good creator, but they don't actually know how their creative helps a business. They just know, oh, I know how to make something really
Yeah.
cool, but they don't know how to apply that cool to a business problem in order to help a business make more money, or build their brand or whatever, grow their audience. So you're saying, I've kind of left oh, I only care about my creative in the dust, and I'm focused now on how does what I do really solve a business problem. And because of that, you're really, like, narrowing in and niching it on, like, I want to just work with brands and help them master their socials. And so I've got a bunch of different offers to do that, and that's who Kins is, and that's what we do, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, it's just pretty much been in a constant state of like pivot, the last few months as well. It's and yeah, since learning the social media side, then instead of just being able to serve brands that we are used to working with, and that
Yeah.
benefit from good creative, we can work with brands or businesses even that they're not just looking for beautiful pictures. They actually do want a bit more of that strategy and really to understand what is going to push their social media forward. So it's sort of opened up.
Mm.
It's opened up more, potential clients for us as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. I was gonna ask that actually with the whole like, hey, we're feeling like we're getting our heads above water. You guys have almost cleared 50K in just basically half a year, which is incredible. Where do you find, well, for someone that maybe again was in your shoes maybe 6 months ago and they're like, how the heck do I find clients? Like, I'm tired of just doing the like one-off little headshot here and there. I want to start working with brands. I want to start speaking to them. I want to start getting their attention. What's your advice for somebody who wants to get that attention? Like, what do you guys like to strategically do when it comes to the marketing side of your business? Whether it's social, whether it's pitching, like, where do you find the most success for Kins to be able to get new clients?
I think you can take that line because you're the pitching queen.
Pitching queen, I like it.
When you were saying that, I was just thinking about making, like, when I'm pitching to the brands, I like to make it really personal. So I won't pitch just to any brand. It'll usually be a brand that I really admire and love. And I will have all these things that I love about that brand and why I want to work for them and, create something amazing for them. And I would just put that in the email, like at the start, I would just pretty much put my heart out, and I feel
Yes.
They could feel that too.
yeah, and because I'm, I feel, yeah, it's the feeling as well. But I feel like that's helped with a lot of the brands that recently, I've just been a lot more personal and I've told them, yeah, like a little bit about our story as well. And I feel like that just comes across really well for what we want to do. And
Yeah.
we show a lot of our, lifestyle on social media as well. So they can kind of see that and relate to it in some way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, combination
I love that.
pitching. Yeah, also
That's
just
so good.
a bit of a consistent flow or content going out there on all of our channels. Like my personal, your personals, and the business itself, and kind of being able to connect the dots per se. So like, yeah, cross contaminate a little bit of them all, so that you follow one and you're gonna go, oh, this is the personal for Kai, this is the personal for Sian, and then they'll follow that, and then they all sort of serve a little bit of a different purpose, but also still they are still kind of our personal ones as well. So it's not it doesn't feel like we have to push things for marketing sake. We're sort of just sharing our life as well, and brands definitely connect with that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love
being
that.
a human being. It's
Yeah.
so good for brands.
Totally. I love how you guys mentioned, Kai, I love how you're like, oh, she's the pitching queen. So why don't we talk about working as a team? Because that is something that the four of us get to share in common. And it is
Something we can always learn more about.
Yeah, it is
Very
one of the
providing.
most beautiful things about getting to be self-employed is getting to share that with a partner. But it doesn't mean it doesn't come without its challenges. So why don't we talk about what is working with as a in a team format, working with a partner? What does that look like for the two of you guys? And were there struggles there in the beginning? How did you guys kind of find who should do what
Role and
role?
everything.
Yeah, what did that story look like?
Yeah, I think you want to take that one.
Yeah, so at the start, we kind of
It's been
fell
so many different
into,
iterations, right?
yeah, because I was doing, I guess Kai's he's the photographer and I would be in front of the camera. And it kind of just fell into that. Yeah, for a while. And then we moved to Tasmania. And we kind of just had to have a conversation because we've obviously got Olive, and it was like we were both trying to put 50-50 into the business as well as parenting. And there was other tasks that come with that, like all of the home stuff, cooking and washing and activities
Yeah.
and all of that. So we really had to sit down and have a good conversation about
What's working?
what's working and what's not working and how we move forward. And as soon as we did that and decided that, Kai was going to be doing more of,
I'm going to be more
Yeah.
focused on the business,
Yeah.
and you're going to be.
and I was
Yeah.
going to be doing all of the other kind of stuff, as well as helping
Mhm.
out when I have the time. And it just
Yes.
changed. Like everything just shifted and everything just felt more smooth. And it was just the
Mm.
best decision doing that.
Yeah, it was
That's
definitely
awesome.
needed there because it was sort of, we wanted to be able to both be in the business and both sort of lean on each other, and I think in the future it's gonna be a lot more like that.
Just when you're starting out, it's
But yeah, when you're starting out, you got to
Sure.
sprint sometimes.
Yeah.
And sprinting sort of means
Yes.
just the same as like niching down or something. You just want to focus. We both want to have both of our focuses, and be able to focus on them so that we can put all of our effort into that. And it's almost, I think we almost think of it now as, we zoom out a little bit. So it's not how are we working as a team in this business, but how are we working as a team in everything else? Because as a creative
Yes.
business, you are yourselves, and you can't deny that. Yeah, you're not just clocking off at the end of the day. Like everything else has to be tended to.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what
Mm.
roles at this specific time is going to suit which person,
Yeah.
and how do we
Yeah.
lean into that,
Yeah.
right? And at the moment it's that, and then maybe after the sprint, and when we get more set up and things are ticking over more, then we can sort of start to reevaluate that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we went about it there.
Mhm.
I love that, you guys. It's so relatable, and anyone that's a team, whether you're working with a partner, a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, or just like a random friend, you do feel like at the beginning it's like, oh, we both have to be working
Yeah.
together
Mhm.
all the time. Like we
Mhm.
both have 50-50, it has to be totally even, or it's like we found this with ourselves, is that we would be working on the same thing at this
Mhm.
like together, and it's like then you just butt heads, and then you're both
Let's work
doing-
on this. Then let's work
you're
on
both
that.
doing the same thing at
Yeah.
the same time, and you're essentially giving 2 times the effort for 1 time of the result.
Yeah.
And so
We've been through
Yeah.
that for sure.
you guys learned that probably quicker than we did, but
Yeah.
the
One of-
goal aspect is so good. And like you said, it's like, oh, she's the pitching queen. It's like, oh, you're the photographer. Like, oh, this. Like really sorting out, I feel like your giftings and like what you're great at, and then also what you love, and like yes, in also in like your personal life, what do you love to do as well, and figuring out and sorting that out, and like that ebb and flow is so
Yeah.
good.
One of the things that I heard you guys say, what I kind of pulled from what you were just talking about, one of the takeaways there is, it doesn't so much matter who does what. It just matters that it's clear.
Yep.
Like the biggest thing I heard you say, Sean, was that once we actually decided who was going to do what,
Good.
it then felt like it was starting to flow, right? Which is
Mhm.
important. So,
Yeah.
it might be Sean doing this one day, Kai doing this one another day, whatever that's going to be. I think as partners, the two of you, the two of us, we can always figure out how to make it work as long as there's clarity. When there's a lack of clarity, I think that's when it's like, oh, you butt heads more.
Yeah.
Or things
You-
get dropped.
You
or
just
whatever.
don't get as much stuff done. Yeah.
I thought you were
Like,
gonna.
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I also want to dig into this for a second. It's kind of personal, but what's it like being parents and also owning this business, starting this business, running full force at that? Like, how do you guys find time to balance both? Because right now we don't have kids, and so we love when someone comes on and they have kids, and many people listening have kids, and they're trying to figure out how do they balance all of this. What are some tips you guys have, or like what that experience has been like for you being parents while building a business together?
Well, I'll let you know when we do. I don't know. It's so hard.
Feels like every project we do, it's very different, and I feel like we try and make olive our main priority when we have to do those projects. And
Yeah.
we know I've noticed that if we bring play and we are, not rushing things and just trying to get it done because we know that it might take a little longer because we have a child with us. We just try and bring a lot of play into it at first, and then she will come and get in front of the camera and do a pose, and just want to come take a
Yes.
photo, and
Yeah.
and it's
It's I mean it on the project side, that's it. Like we've been definitely there where we just want to bang out a project and then continue on with our beautiful walk, and you just sort of have to accept a different timeline almost,
Like pace.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a
you
different
can't
pace
expect
of
to just
life.
get in there and get it done
Yeah.
and get out. Like you gotta
Yeah.
be willing to sort of be a bit flexible and roll with it a little bit.
Mm.
But yeah, in terms of the overall side of the business, where it's like 80-90% of the time, the best thing you can do is like what we were just talking about is really just have an open dialogue about who's going to do what. In like every single thing that needs to be done every day, whether that's in your business, at your home, to do with
Yeah.
your child. I think you need to have
Mhm.
that open conversation and have those roles and those responsibilities so that it's not a daily negotiation or something.
Yeah. Not an extra thing you have
Oh,
to think
yeah.
about and decide.
It's kind of like time blocking, right? It's like you don't have
Yeah.
one less thing you got to think about is that who does what. When everyone knows what they're doing, you
Mm.
can really just sink into that, and also just
Yeah.
evaluate that pretty often. Like it's not something you set and forget,
Yeah.
and you live the rest of your life, and this is going to be exactly how it is. But in this
Right.
time, what's going to be the most valuable and what's going to move the needle, the amount it needs to,
Mm.
because at the time
Yeah.
when we were in the mastermind, like that needle had to be moved pretty quickly so that he could start paying rent.
Yes.
So
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. No, that's so good, you guys. I think a couple things stick out. One, like pace is a huge thing, I think. Whether you're a parent or you're not, or you're just in a big transition in your life, it's like sometimes accepting pace is different. There's just different paces for different times of your life.
yeah,
And accepting that pace rather than just constantly resisting it.
and
And then also the making decisions before the situation happens. I think that's like the key to probably all communication issues. The key to most of business and life is making the decision before the time of the decision. And we only have so many good decisions every single day to be able to make. And so, and not having those things right at the moment, I think is really good. So
Mhm.
I feel like I learned a couple things for when we have kids. So that's,
No, that's great.
that's really good.
I love it. I love it. Well, why don't we talk about the mastermind a little bit? Because you guys have mentioned it a few times. What would you say are a few things that you pulled out of the mastermind, and how have you seen them benefit your business, and why should somebody else consider implementing some of the things that you're about to talk about? So, is it pitching? Is it sales calls? Is it offers? Like, what are some of the things that you feel like have created some of that new momentum in your business? And why should somebody else, I guess, really consider listening to what you're talking about and trying it on in their own business?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to pinpoint a specific thing that was really valuable because I think the value was in tying all of the things together. I think, because like there is so much free information, like your podcast. There's just incredible amounts, and
Yeah.
a bunch of other people have podcasts and YouTube channels, and you can learn a lot. But what I was struggling with and what we
Absolutely.
were struggling with was how to fit it all together in a cohesive way so that it actually is, losing my words, but
Effective for your business.
effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can know all the things, but without someone to have a look or even just have a bit of feedback, you can just be, going 100% in one direction where maybe you shouldn't actually be going in that direction. So I think in terms of every single thing was super valuable, and then tying that all in with community and just like the pace of it, it's just every day someone's got a question, someone's got an answer, and it's just like go, go, go. Like, especially being us in the time zone over here, would wake up in the morning and the chat would just be popped off, like we'd have to have like an hour every morning to catch
The whole
up.
book. Yeah.
But it was so worth it because there's just so much hype as well. So it's hard to explain. And hard to have like a key takeaway other than just it's so good to have a lot of people there, as well as having
Yeah.
a super clear, clear roadmap almost.
I feel like there's been a
Yeah.
few times over probably the last month where you've implemented something that we've learnt, and I've just been like, oh my God, we're so thankful for this. It's like, what would we have done if we didn't know that? And it's helped so much.
Yeah, even just like
Mm.
using how to use socials, that was a super
Yeah.
valuable one for us. Not, because I was just kind of got really stuck with social media, like, and then end up just posting a photo that I've taken or a video that I've done without sort of any strategy or context. But now it's like, okay, I understand that you just got to be consistent and just stay in front of people's face so that they remember you. It doesn't necessarily has to be your 100% top best content
Mhm.
every single time. You just
Mm.
have to make pretty good content. We're definitely far from getting there. We definitely want to work on that a lot more in the future, but just having a bit of pressure off of making the best all the time, I think it's been really great too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Uh,
Well, you guys were seriously such a pivotal part of this last round. Like, I feel like you guys were just always so supportive, answering other people's questions. Like,
Yeah.
just
So fun.
it was such a cool community. And you're right, it is hard to put into words when you go through something like that. Cause yeah, it's not just like course, whatever. It's like a full on experience in a community that you're a part of. And so you guys were an incredible part of that community. So we appreciate you guys seriously so much. And I know everyone else from the round did as well. What would you guys say to somebody who's maybe on the fence? Maybe they're like, okay, I'm in that spot where I'm like, business is running, but I feel like there are just things that I need tailored to like my business. But they're just like, I don't know if I like should invest in myself. Like, should I just keep doing all the free stuff? Like, keep doing that kind of stuff. Spending money on yourself is always scary, right? Like, it's a terrifying thing to do. So you want to make sure you feel confident doing it. So what would you encourage someone to do or research or whatever if they were jumping into something like this of what you guys went through?
Yeah, I think it's almost, I think you'd almost have to consult yourself is the key takeaway. Like if you
Mm.
think that you can trust yourself and back yourself, then it's a no-brainer,
Mm.
you know? Like
Yeah. So
we
good.
we were so ready to have a bit of direction because we trusted that we could make it work if we had that help and that community and that support.
Mm.
So that if you are at a point where you 100% want to do it, you're not sort of in a point where like, oh yeah, I would like to do that, but I'm not too sure. If you're like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be super valuable even then. But if you are committed and you really want to make this work, do it. I think because
It's so funny you say that because I remember the first night of the mastermind. I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in September when we all started, I said night one on our opening call, I said, "Thank you guys for trusting yourselves." And I said, "A lot of you guys, when you made this investment, probably thought you were trusting Christy and I." And I said, "That's just not the case. We've built multiple different six-figure businesses. We've helped hundreds of other people do the same thing. We've got the reputation to do it. The question is, are you going to trust yourself enough to actually like commit to the process, commit to learning, commit to community,
commit.
commit to working hard and actually seeing the results?" And it's funny watching that shift go off in people's heads. And so I'm really glad that you brought that up because that is, Christy and I talk about this all the time. Like, what are some of I really do think in like 5 minutes of hanging out with somebody, we can predict if they are going to have success in a year or if they're not. And a lot of it comes down to what you just said. Do they believe that they can make things happen? Whether they might not have all the skills right now to do it or all the support or community to do it
Yeah.
or the confidence to do it, but is there something in themselves that they're like confident enough in that I have a fire lit inside of me and I just need to go find some gas to pour on it and it's going to explode.
Yeah.
But that's a really important thing about being self-employed is like having the ability to start that little thing within you that allows you to trust yourself and back yourself, which I love that you're
And like, despite if you're scared or despite your situation's easy or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't mean there's no fear in that.
Yeah.
It just means that you have that in you that you know that you can go for it and you've got to find the right pieces of the puzzle to help you complete what you need in
Exactly
order to
right.
actually go after something. So I'm so glad you said that. That sounds like that was what your experience was.
Yeah, also feel like when like just making the decision to kind of, you quitting your job and us moving into state and just taking all those little they were little now, but they were big chances then.
Yeah.
It allowed
Yeah.
us to have that trust in ourselves to, join the mastermind. And I feel like when you feel like you're taking a chance or you're doing something that feels scary, it eventually snowballs and other things just keep on
Absolutely.
coming
Yeah.
and it starts
Yeah.
to make sense and starts to feel like it's working, even if it doesn't in the moment. It's
So good.
Yeah, the trusting isn't like I'm going to trust that everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to make every right choice. It's just trusting that trusting that you're going to be able to adapt to the situations that's presented towards you. So it's always going to be
Yes.
challenges. There's always going to be fear. But if you can, like, yeah, like I said, I think I mentioned it earlier, like I would daily think maybe I should just get a full-time job now. But I knew like I wasn't 100% like this is everything I'm going to do. But I knew the underlying was that I do trust in myself
Mm.
to make this work. And yeah, I'm generally a very skeptical person when it comes to, yeah, you know, forking over money. It's a big deal for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
as you should be.
It was exactly,
Absolutely.
yeah. It was for us at the
Yeah.
time. You know, that pretty much drained us of all of our business fund.
It is for everybody. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
for everybody, especially coming in from Australia, right? The conversions and all that stuff,
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah, the conversions are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry, I can't remember where I was going with that. Yeah, but it was. I think what really pushed me over the edge with you guys was that you really focused on fostering that community, and I think that for us, that was what I was missing. I think with a lot of the other providers or whatever, the coaches, the people that I was following and getting inspiration, knowledge from, I was like, I think this is actually what is going to solidify all of the knowledge is having that crew. And not everyone can
Yeah.
not everyone can like foster a community as well as you guys, I think. And
Mm.
tricky.
I
Like,
appreciate that's like the nicest thing ever.
there's no
Very
way
sweet of you,
you
yeah.
just sort of have a way of hyping everyone up so that they end up hyping everyone else up. So you can't just stick a bunch of people together and expect them to get along. You know, like you both do an amazing, amazing job of being
Yeah.
that glue. So yeah, super thankful for
Aw. Well, I appreciate it. That's like the biggest that's the best thing you could say about I feel like what we do is because we do believe in the community. Like we believe in the fact that when you stick people together
Yeah,
and there's no gatekeeping, there's just full like first of all full commit and then also full support of everyone else in the community like you guys did through the entire 6 weeks and even after, like cool things happen. Like really amazing things happen that isn't possible besides all of that. So we first of all, really appreciate you guys and who you were to us and who you were to the community, but also appreciate that you're willing to come on here and share your story and share all the incredible inspirational things of where you guys have come and like the challenges you've had and how you've overcome them and how you've really fully commit to it and how it's really paying off, which is really amazing. So first of all, thank you for sharing your story. We love to end our podcast with like a signature question, and it's why is it worth it to like break the creative struggle? Like why is it worth it to go all in on your business, quit the job, move from somewhere, do the thing, even if you have kids or whatever? Why is it worth it? Like why do you think it's worth it?
Why'd you do it?
why'd we do it? Personal satisfaction, maybe. I think when you can boil it down, like you can just be really satisfied with yourself at the end of the day. It's, you know, you are building something and you are creating what you want to, you know, what you want to live.
Yeah.
And, you know,
And I think also being parents, you know, we had to really think how we wanted Olive to, you know, be raised and see what her parents were doing. And, you know, we didn't want to, you know, stick to the casual 9 to 5 and, you know, just doing the same thing every day. And,
just wasn't for us.
you know, she has, we have adventure now and every day kind of looks different. And I guess that was also a big thing.
That is a big thing, wasn't it?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Really being able to show her what's possible
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah.
Which is in her up.
You know, reminding
Wow.
us as well that these things are possible and it's okay
Yeah.
to take that chance and do it. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow, what a cool
That's
gift
awesome.
to give
Yeah.
your family and your daughter, but the gift of, hey, if your parents can do this, imagine what you could do. Like, what a
Exactly.
cool thing. So, wow, that's a great way to wrap up the podcast.
really
And yeah, thanks for sharing your story and your family's story with
Been a
us.
pleasure.
And
thank
yeah,
you.
you know, we love you guys, and we're so glad you guys are part of the greater Creative Rise community and the grad community and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we're just so grateful that you guys got to share everything today, and so much good takeaways from like working as a team to going all in on something to not leaving your camera on the roof of your car when you're driving.
Into that.
To pitching and offers and just general inspiration. This has been so awesome, Kai and Sean. So it's great.
Where can people follow along with you guys? I know you guys got 3 different platforms. So where can people follow along if they want to follow your journey of where you guys are going?
So we have Kins Creative. Is that just, I think
It's
it's,
just kins.creative
Yeah.
on Instagram.
and then
Cool.
Kai
Mine's Kai Tolhurst on Instagram, no space.
And I can never remember mine, but I think it's Sian with 2 underscores April. Yep.
I love it.
Underscore.
We'll link it. We'll link it all in the show description.
Yeah, we'll link it in the show
Got
description.
that. But yeah, they've
Mhm.
got incredible creative guys. Check it out. They're awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here, you guys.
This has been
You're
awesome.
not
Thanks,
very
guys.
happy to be here.
All right, shout out to Kai and Sian from Kins Creative. That was an awesome episode. So cool to hear about how they've grown so much in the last like 3 or 4 months specifically, and how 2025 is looking so up for them, and that you can start implementing some of the things that they've been learning. They shared a lot about pitching brands and, doing stuff as a team, partnering, roles here and there, relocating your business, going all in on stuff, being confident. So much to learn, which is incredible. So shout out to Kai and Sian. If you guys want to listen, if you want to follow along with them in any other place, make sure you hit up the description of the pod. We'll have all the links to them there, which is great. And if you're sitting here going, wow, that's really cool to hear about their experience inside of the Creative Rise Mastermind. If you really enjoy the podcast, maybe you listen every week, and maybe you're going 2025, I want to be bigger and better than 2024 was. Well, then maybe you should consider checking out a little bit of information about the same thing Kai and Sian went through, which was the 6-week Creative Rise Mastermind, which is the thing that we started 5 years ago. Creative Rise signature flagship product here, and how we really, really do our best to help 70 businesses a year, 35 in the spring, 35 in the fall, go from wherever they're at to building really solid, strong 6-figure business foundations by really dialing in on 6 weeks of business strategy. So Kai and Sian went through the last round of that, and you could too, because round 13 is coming up, which is awesome. So the waitlist has already started. There's already a ton of you guys jumping on the waitlist. If you want all the information about the mastermind, see everything you're going to learn week 1 all the way through week 6, and figure out what actually what the mastermind looks like on a weekly basis. Like, how much of a time commitment is it for you? What can you expect to learn? What's the expected ROI for you guys on the investment you're going to put in? Those are all really good questions. You can find all that information on creativerise.com. Link is in the description of the podcast. We're getting so pumped up for round 13 coming up. It's going to be so fun. We're only going to take 30 to 35 businesses as we do every single time. It sells out every time. So getting on the wait list not only gets you guys some bonuses, a discount, but it ensures you actually get the opportunity to apply, because we always have to cut people off because we only take that select number of businesses, so we can make sure you get all of our focus. So anyways, guys, hopefully this episode was so great for you. If it was, share it with a friend. I'm sure that they could be encouraged and inspired by Kai and Sian's story. Other than that, we'll see you guys next week. We actually have another Aussie on the podcast next week. He is the head of content at a brand called Zerali, which is one of the fastest growing brands in Australia. And he is going to really break down everything that brands think about when it comes to how does a brand think about content, how effective and important are creatives to a brand's success, and all of that stuff. So if you're looking to transfer from the wedding space into the brand world, this is going to be a huge episode for you. If you're already in the brand world, this is going to be a massive episode for you in understanding how brands think, so you can go on into 2025 understanding this stuff so you can crush it next year. But guys, we're getting into the Christmas season, so I hope you already put your tree up. We'll catch you next week on episode 209. Thanks for being here.